Hello, everybody. Rosie here with this Thursday's live. Awesome, my phone buzzed. That means we are live. Or I have an email. One of the two. All right. How is everyone doing today? It finally feels like summer is kind of here in Calgary. We've got some beautiful weather the last couple days. It's a gorgeous day out there today. Fabulous. So we are going to be playing with some press plates today. All right. I'm just going to pull you guys up on my computer here. Perfect. Facebook tells me I'm live. Fabulous. All right. Hello, Sabine. I hope I said that right. All right, everybody. We are going to have so much fun today. I was playing around. I've been playing around since last night already, or yesterday afternoon, with some of these new, one of these new press plate and stencil bundles that we have from Syberia Designs. And she does such beautiful florals. Oh, great. Awesome. Awesome, Sabine. All right. So, been playing around with the press plates the last little bit here, and you kind of forget how fun they are and how easy they are to use when you don't use them as much as you should. Awesome. Oh, and of course, as is classic, the clouds are starting to come out, so hopefully I don't lose too much light here. I am right by a window, but the sun does not directly shine into this window until later in the day. It's kind of west-ish facing. Due west, actually. Fabulous. Okay, well, let's get started. First of all, I'm going to show you, I've got a couple of sets here. I'm not going to be playing with both of them, but first I want to show you, this is the Floral Trio press plate. And then, of course, this is a bundle with the press plate and the stencil as well. And so that's what that press plate looks like. And then it's a 2 stencil set. So it shows you on the back of the packaging. The packaging is great for showing you exactly how you use that stencil. So that is the Floral Trio press plate and layering stencil. But we are going to be playing with this one, which is the Lush Peony Bouquet. So that's what that looks like. I've kind of got it already in my better press here. And then here is the coloring stencil. And as we go through and I kind of demo this for you, I kind of like how they've designed the stencil where it just leaves you that nice little white highlight at the edges of the leaves with your cardstock. So really cool. Awesome. So that's what we're going to be playing with. So let's get started. I've got my press plate here in my better press. Hello, Shelley. And whoops, and I got a foam square attached there. Strange. So I am going to be using the Spellbinders cotton cardstock for this one. So I'm just going to tape that here to my, now all the pieces have names and I don't remember what they are. One's a platen, one's a chase. I couldn't tell you which is which, if it's the top or the bottom, if it's this piece or the bottom piece. So I don't think it matters. So I'm just going to say I'm going to tape my cardstock to the center of my clear plate here. Now I've got my press plate here and I can be sure that it lines up. I've placed it inside the little A2 marking here, okay, which is that in between smaller square. So I know that it's going to be right perfectly centered on that panel. Now, this is not my idea. I got it from watching someone else. I can't remember who, but I've just taken a bit of packaging. I kind of put some washi around the edges there, but I'm just going to use that on the bottom of my base here, just for ease of cleanup. Now, you might, if you've got one of these, a Better Press from Spellbinders, you might have the Spellbinders ink, the Better Press ink, which works great. I'm going to actually be using my Altenew Obsidian pigment ink to press this onto my paper. I like it because it just cleans up a lot easier than the Better Press ink. So I'm just going to pat that on my plate. Okay, that should be good. We are going to now turn my paper over. Okay, and then that is held up by the magnets, and I'm going to pick it up by the handle here. I don't want to touch this piece at all because I don't want to shift anything. Because once I roll this through my Platinum 6 here, then it's going to transfer the ink onto the paper. So super easy. It should not be difficult to roll through. You don't need any extra paper pressure on there. I'll pull that out and we'll flip this over. And there we go. Beautiful impression. So it's kind of hard to tell on camera, but it gives you that letterpress look where it essentially kind of debosses, so presses the ink into the paper. So if I run my hand over this, I'm not going to do this, run it over quite yet. I just want to give this a moment to make sure my pigment ink is dry, but you'll feel that slight impression. So gorgeous, gorgeous. So that's kind of the traditional way that you can use these Better Press plates, okay, is using them in your Better Press machine and transferring the ink that way. One of the other really cool things about the Better Press or press plates is that you can actually foil with them. I'm just going to grab my baby wipe here. I forgot to clean off this plate. These foil beautifully, and we are going to foil this as well. Okay, so our first way, of course, is using in our traditional press manner, and then that should be good. I can wipe this off. We'll move this aside, and I'm going to bring in my hot foil machine because I need to heat up my press plate. Make sure that's dry. Okay. So if you've got a glimmer machine, I don't have a glimmer machine. I have an older hot foil machine, but it works in the same way. So even though it doesn't look exactly like a glimmer machine, you're going to get the same idea. Oh, before I forget, what I want to do is just quickly trim around my foil. Just kind of trim off some of that excess so I don't have to deal with that on my cardstock. So if you can kind of roughly trace the shape of your plate you're using, just helps a little bit in kind of eliminating some overfoiling. So if you have some areas that foil that on your cardstock that you don't want to foil. Okay, so I'm going to place that down on my base here. Okay, I just have to slide that out of the way here. All right, so again, this looks a little different from a glimmer machine, but it does the same thing. All right, then I'm going to lay my foil, the colored side down. Okay, and then I'm going to place my cardstock right on top. Okay, slide that up a little. All right, now for my foil machine, I use where'd my cardstock shim go? I'm not sure where I put it. I'm gonna have to grab another piece of paper. I have like a folded sheet. You kind of want to experiment with your hot foil machine on how many shims you need. This is just a sheet of heavyweight cardstock. Hopefully that works, because I don't know what happened to my things. Always disappear during the Facebook Live. As soon as I'm finished, I'm going to find my my shim that I normally use. So hopefully we're going to have success with this one, because it's a little bit thinner. I just use like a folded sheet of 100-pound cardstock. I find that that gives me the right pressure. So I'm just going to make sure I got this going. Yep. So we're just going to have to wait a moment for this to heat up. Maybe while that heats up, we can actually start. Yeah, why don't we do that? I'm going to show you how the stencil works while my foil machine is heating up. We want that nice and hot, and I'll show you how that is going to foil once we get that heated up. But let's take a look at the stencil here. And we might as well start adding some color to our better pressed panel. So now that that's dry, so if you have one of these, when you run your finger over top, you can feel that little bit of a depression where the ink has been pressed into the paper. Okay, so now the coloring stencils, it's a set of 3 stencils that come together in this bundle. They're all numbered, so we're going to start with stencil number 1. And I'm going to line that up. It's really, really simple to line up. And I probably should put my reading glasses on, because I never realize when I'm just a shade off until I'm a shade off. Hello, Annette. Hi, Kathy. All right. So sometimes you just got to give it a little twist. There we go. It's a shift and a twist at times. Okay, I think we pretty much have it there. All right. So I'm going to just add a little bit of low tack tape on the corners here. Okay, and I just heard my hot foil machine click. So yeah, I got a green light. So it's telling me that it is ready to run through the die cut machine. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside really quick. Oh, thanks, Annette. Happy Thursday to you as well. Okay, so I can feel... If I just touch the top there, I can feel the heat. Perfect. So I'm going to slide that out of the base of the hot foil machine, and then I'm going to run this through my Platinum 6. So when you're foiling, you want to run that through slowly, because we're using the combination of pressure and heat to transfer the foil to our paper. Now the paper I'm using is just, it's hammer mill, so it's quite a smooth cardstock. You can experiment with whatever cardstocks you have on hand. Spellbinders does also have a glimmer cardstock. I have some around here somewhere. Don't ask me where. It's like a black hole in here sometimes. I'm trying to find things. Okay, so let's see what we have. All right, so there's our image. I'm just going to give that a moment to cool down. And while that's cooling down, I'm just going to take that plate off and put on this solid plate, and I'll explain why I'm doing that in a moment. I'm going to pop this back in, put my shim on top, and just put that back onto the base to heat up. Okay, so that's cooled off, so we can peel that foil off. And oh, that worked really well, even with having a different shim. Look at that. So there is our hot foil with the press plate. So beautiful, beautiful result. Okay, I've got a few little areas there I can see where it's just overfoiled a little bit. You can kind of touch those up. I've got some yellow tape here, and you can just kind of touch that up gently with your, even a washi tape, just a low tack tape. It won't be perfect, or if you've got a sand eraser or an eraser, you can erase those little bits off. I find this works quite well though. I know it's a teeny tiny piece of tape. I could use a bigger piece. So just to kind of show you, I'll just hold that up here to show you. So for example, we've got some overfoiling right here. Okay. So I'll just go over that with my yellow tape. Okay, you can see that did a pretty good job. So super easy to kind of take care of some of those little pieces. Okay, so that's what it looks like foiled. Now we're also left with this full sheet of foil. Okay, so if you happen to have a solid glimmer plate, okay, I'll just show you that. Whoops. That's how you can transfer this image onto just plain cardstock. So here I've got this solid piece of foil, or a solid glimmer plate, I should say. So it's a rectangle. I think there's, this one's from Pink Fresh. I think there's a few companies who make a solid plate. So if you do, if you find that you like to foil and you plan to do a lot of foiling, then this is a great investment because you're going to be able to get some extra use out of your images here. So I'm just going to make sure I quickly trim off the edges, because otherwise this foil will end up on my plate, which isn't really that big a deal. You can see I've got a little bit of foiling right here, but I'll just kind of try to avoid that. You can clean it off with nail polish remover if you do end up with some foil on your plate. So I'm going to place that back down, that full sheet of foil. I'm going to put my shim on top, and we'll see how successful we are with this. And we're going to close that lid, and we're going to let that baby heat up again. Okay, so while that's heating up, let's get started on inking. I kind of want to make sure that's good and hot, so I'm going to give that just a little bit longer to heat up, so we can kind of start on our inking. So I wanted to choose some super bright colors. So I'm going to start with the Tickled Pink from Altenew. I'm just going to slide over here so it makes a little more sense. All right, whoops. You can see, you don't really need to see my ink pad that great, that close up. Where is my... This guy works a little better. Okay, we'll put our first layer of ink down, and then I'll bring back in that foil plate. All right. So super easy to apply your ink. So you can see that with the better press, with kind of pressing that ink into the cardstock, it leaves our black ink still looking nice and crisp. If this was a stamped image that we were going over, you know, that we had stamped in black and then we're inking over the top of the stamped image, it would end up muting the black lines of the stamp, the ink that we're putting on over top. because this is kind of pressed, because it, not kind of, but is pressed into the paper, then that just keeps it looking, the black looking more crisp. And I think I moved that stencil slightly, but that's okay. We'll make it work. Okay, so I'm going to remove the first layer. So super pretty. And I will clean this with rubbing alcohol after. But now that I hear that our foil machine is nice and hot, we'll just set that aside real quick. And I'll just bring that in to run it through the Platinum 6. So we'll see. Sometimes I have really good success with the solid, you know, with foiling the more solid image. Sometimes it's a bit hit and miss. So we'll see what we get. And then I'll show you when after we're finished showing you all the ways to use these that I did yesterday. That actually turned out pretty good. All right, so again, I'm rolling that through nice and slow. All right. So this is such a beautiful image, even just by itself, without adding any stenciling. Okay. So I'm going to pull that off. And I'm just going to quickly turn off my hot foil machine because I don't need it anymore. Unplug it as well. Okay, and I'm just going to give that a moment. It's still a little warm. I kind of like to, I figure that it probably should cool off before I try to peel the foil off. We'll hurry the process. Getting some cool air on it. All right. Oh, look, this is really interesting. So I just want to show you, because I used this single layer of cardstock. Like I said, normally I have like a double layer, so it's thicker. So it's got kind of the impression of this, and you can see that that actually pressed into the foil. Very interesting. So again, hit or miss sometimes, but you know, I could trim a little portion of this out and still use it. But that's kind of what that looks like solid. So you'll have to experiment if you're going to try to do this larger foil transfer of, you know, how much pressure your machine needs, what, all of that, how long to heat it for. But that is the second way that we use these press plates. Now I've got one more way to show you, but I want to finish this stenciling first, just so you can see how easy it is to use the stencil and the beautiful result that you get. Hello, Denise. And then I'll show you the last way that you can use your press plates. All right, but before we get there, let's get this stencil aligned. So this is stencil number 2. All right. And just to show you, like if you start with a larger piece of cardstock, a 5.5 by 5.5, there's little etchings in the corner here of your stencil. So if you just line up your corners, that will line up your stencil over the image as well. So you don't have to really do all this shifting that I'm doing on here. All right, so that'll work. So we're gonna get out our greens, and I'm gonna use 2 greens, but I'm gonna start with Let Us Celebrate. All right. I like the names of these Altenew inks. And I like these bright colors. I often find myself turning to these bright tones for spring and summer. there's so many different types of inks out there, or different brands of inks. The Catherine Pooler inks are quite lovely. I quite enjoy those. They're very juicy, which is what I really like about them. Okay, so we've got that green, and now I'm going to add a little bit of darker green as soon as I clean off this ink smudge here. I don't know where my wet wipe went. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of a darker shade as well. So that's Shadow Creek. And just add a little bit of that to the bases there of those leaves. There we go. Just kind of give it some interest. All right. Okay. All right, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of honey drizzle to the centers. Make them yellow centers. All right. So, very quick. All right. We've got one more stencil to go, and this is going to add, look how pretty that is. Nice and vibrant. So I've got one more stencil to go, and that's going to be our third layer, which is going to just kind of add a few little details, a bit more shadowing and dimension. There we go. All right. Just going to get that lined up. It's one of those things when you're lining up a stencil, you're you shift and twist, and then all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, there it is. I see it. But I love stencils. They're just awesome for getting your color on fast. And when they're designed as well as these are, and you just end up with a beautiful result each time. Okay. So lastly, I decided I wanted to go with kind of some bold colors. So I'm going to use this Be Grateful, it's called, purpley shade. There's my brush. So really easy. So you can really bust out a lot of cards quickly. If you wanted to mass produce these, do all your better pressing or your foiling or your foiling. I usually like to do a bit of both if I'm getting the better press machine out. And then I figure I might as well get my hot foil machine out and do some foiling as well. All right. So we're getting our ink down on here. I think I probably need to re-ink this ink pad. It feels feeling a little dry. All right. I'll load up my tool a little more. There we go. So, and I like the fact that this stencil is not quite as detailed as some other stencils can be, or as it could be, because it just makes it easier as well as far as playing around with color combinations. Okay, I'm going to make sure that I do not have ink on my hands. Okay, so here is what it looks like completed. So super pretty, super easy. Okay. So that's if we use we've better pressed this, put this through our better press as normal, as traditional, and inked it. Pressing it into the ink. Now let me bring my die cut machine back in to go through one more, well, kind of two more. I'm going to call it 2 more. I just need to grab a baby wipe here. My hands are inky. Okay. We're going to go through kind of 2 more. I said 3 ways, but really the third way is kind of the same procedure. Just kind of 2 different ways of doing the same procedure. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We've got our Platinum 6 back in the mix. Okay, now you're going to grab your, if you've got a Spellbinders Platinum 6, you're going to grab your A plate, your B plate, okay, and you are going to grab your D, which is the adapter plate, so it's this hard plate. Thanks, Sabine. And then you're also going to grab your embossing, so this silicone mat, that's your embossing mat. Okay, so we are going to, essentially we're going to emboss with our press plate. Okay, but we're going to do one extra step, I'll say, with that. And we're going to add ink to this press plate. And then we are going to run this through our die cut machine. And essentially we're going to kind of emboss or deboss and also transfer the ink at the same time. Okay. So I'm again using this obsidian, just patting that all over the plate. Okay. And I'm just gonna drop that down on my platform here. Okay. Now I'm just kind of layering my pieces ahead of time here. So I've got my paper, embossing mat, okay, and then the top adapter plate. I maybe should do it like this. I'm going to place my paper right on top and just set it right down, and then try to gently do the same thing with these. And we're just going to drop that right on top, and we're going to run that through our machine. Okay, and what this is going to do, it's going to press that ink into our paper, but because it's, you know, a thicker plate, it gives us this dimension as well. Okay, so there is kind of a third way that you can use this press plate. Okay, this is kind of what the back looks like, which is kind of cool as well, but super, super easy. Okay, so we have, I mean, there's a few areas where I didn't quite, you can see I didn't clean my press plate off as good as I should have. I should have used StazOn or archival ink cleaner, but I'll do that. But so we get that beautiful, beautiful look of kind of embossed with being inked as well. So then we can go ahead and add color with the stencil as well, or just use the image as is. Okay. So very, very simple, really, really nice way to get some extra use out of your press plates. I'm going to give this a quick clean, and I just want to show you what it looks like if we just do plain white cardstock as well. So you can see how beautiful it looks. So I'm going to give that a quick clean. Okay, make sure it's dry, and let's run that through one more time just so you can see the sandwich. Just grab a different piece of cardstock here. So again, to show you, if you're wanting to emboss with your, essentially emboss with your press plates, okay, if you've got the Platinum 6, and you can look up what the sandwich would be if you've got a Sizzix or, yeah, if you've got a Sizzix. I don't know what other die cutting machines are out there, but they'll give you the sandwich as well. So I've got my A plate, my B plate, I'm gonna put my, and I haven't put any ink on this, okay, intentionally. And I'm gonna mist the back of this paper a little bit too, just so I don't get cracking. I forgot to do that. So we're gonna do our press plate, our paper, and then your embossing mat on top of that. So that's your E, and then your hard adapter plate, that's your D plate. Okay, and we're gonna roll that through, and it rolls through super easily. Okay, if you're trying this out, you've got a different die cutting machine, and you're rolling that through, if you're having any issues where it seems like, ooh, this is really hard, difficult to get this moving through the machine, then check your sandwich, because your sandwich might be too tight, and you don't want to break anything by having your sandwich too tight. So look how pretty that is, just all by itself, the white cardstock. So that'd be a beautiful card front as well. Okay. And so now I'm going to show you a few of the samples I did ahead of time, because I don't want to keep you here for too long on a beautiful Thursday afternoon. Okay, I'm just going to bring back in. Here is the panel that we better pressed and just did the stenciling on. Okay, and I want to show you now a sample I did yesterday. Okay, and this is, here I've just taken the panel that I basically dry embossed, let's say. Okay, we've added just a simple sentiment, trimmed it down, matted it on black, a simple sentiment, and just like that. Done very quickly. Okay. Now I also wanted to share with you, this is a panel. This is one of those panels that, let me just show you. Here's the hot foiled version. Okay, and then here's the full panel. But on this one, I also added that plate back in, just add that bit of embossing. I'd say it's lined up good enough. I can trim this down. I think that's going to be a beautiful card front as well. Here's what the back side looks like. So don't be afraid to play around with that. I mean, you could even play around with seeing if you can line this up to emboss. Actually, I don't know if you can. Where's my plate? Oh, it's under here. No, it's not. I was gonna see, because I don't think it's a mirror image when you foil, like it is when you, whatever. Doesn't matter. I'll play around. If I'm able to add some embossing on that, I will do that too. Okay. And so here is a sample, and this is one which I have done just like this, where I've added the black ink. So we've inked our press plate and then put the paper on top, run that through, and then here I added stenciling, but this time I used the colors opposite. Let me just show you that. Here I did the pink first and then the purple, and here I did the purple and then the pink. But you can see the difference there. This is without dimension, and then this one is with dimension. So it really just gives you a beautiful, beautiful look. And then I've just popped up a sentiment in the middle and added some Pink Fresh Studio iridescent crystals. Fabulous. So super duper easy. Again, that is the Lush Peony Bouquet press plate along with the coloring stencil. That comes in a bundle. And yeah, it's a bit of it's a higher price point definitely with the press plate, but you have to remember you're getting a press plate that you can better press with, you can foil with it. And if you just love this plate and you don't have a foiling machine, a glimmer machine, or a better press machine, I've just showed you how, you can get two beautiful looks just using it with your die cut machine. So super, super easy. Yeah, isn't it gorgeous with dimension? It so pops. So yeah, so if you've got some press plates, then pull them out and play around with them. And love to see what you do with them. You can post that in the Scrap Shots paper crafting group. And we have a few days left in June. So if you haven't had a chance to play along with our June challenge yet, I highly encourage you to do so. There's a $25 gift certificate to the Scrap Shots store up for grabs to the winner of the challenge, and the winner's always drawn via random number generator. So I mean, $25 would go a long ways towards this little press plate and stencil bundle if you are thinking you'd like to get your hands on it. But yeah, make sure you play, go check out the challenge. I believe it's basic shapes. So there's some inspiration in the group. And if you're planning to come to Scrapaganza, that's the event we run here in September. Registration will open on July 23rd, I believe it is. And you can find that information on the Scrapaganza Facebook group, in that group as well. And yeah, we'd love to see you there. Awesome. Okay, well, that's what I have for you. I'm going to kind of play around with some of these guys here and photograph these other cards and get them up in the group. So just keep watching our socials and you'll get to see all the card samples that I created with these. And yeah, if you're watching on replay, thanks for checking it out. And if you're watching after the fact on YouTube, once I get that uploaded, thanks for hanging out as well. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful weekend and that you have a chance to do some crafting as well. All right, everyone, take care. Bye.